in our weekly segment of A Little Bit of Light. We're going to go back now to awaiting Moshiach and our discussion about awaiting Moshiach and the Shemoneh Esrei. And we will now be discussing the 15th blessing of the Shemoneh Esrei, which is the blessing of Tzemach Dovid. And let's read it and translate it. Tzemach Dovid avdocha meiras tzmiach. The word Tzemach means the growth. And in this case, it means the offspring, the descendants. Tzemach Dovid avdocha, the descendant of the offspring of your servant Dovid, King David, meiras tzmiach. May you quickly bring it forth. May you quickly make it grow. The karnoi tarim b'shuasecha, literally translated his horn, which means in his pride, tarim b'shuasecha, shall be uplifted with your salvation. Ki lishuascha kivinu kol hayoim, for your salvation we hope for all day long. Baruch atah Hashem, blessed are you Hashem, matzmiach keren Yeshua, who brings forth the pride of salvation. This is the blessing about the coming of Mashiach. That's what we mean by Tzemach David Avdecha, the growth, the growth or the descendant of your servant David. This is the blessing, our prayer for the coming of Mashiach. And the Talmud in Megillah, Yud Zayin Amud Beis 17b says that after Yerushalayim will be rebuilt and the Beis Hamikdash is rebuilt, that is when the Malchus Beis David, the kingdom of King David, will return. This is the order of what we've been doing in the Shemoneh Esrei. The previous blessing was about the return of Yerushalayim, and now we talk about the Tzemach David, the growth of David, which is the restoration of the kingdom, the monarchy of the house of David, which means the coming of Mashiach. And it's very interesting that when we daven every day this blessing, which is praying for Mashiach to come, it's interesting that, we ask for the ultimate redemption, the ultimate salvation. And we do that even though we have in our own lives lots of redemptions that we need. We've got a plate full of issues, a plate full of challenges that need to be answered. And those seem to be much more immediate than the ultimate coming of Mashiach. But at the same time, it's important to know that every Jew should be awaiting the coming of Mashiach, should be awaiting the ultimate redemption, the redemption that will bring everything back in order, and everything in our lives will be in order then. The Tur Shulchan Aruch in Orach Chaim notes that this blessing of the Shemoneh Esrei about praying for Mashiach contains 20 words. And these 20 words correspond to the words of the prophet Yeshaya in Yeshaya Nun Aleph Pasuk Gimel 51:3. And here is an English translation of those 20 words that this blessing corresponds to. For Hashem shall comfort Zion. He will comfort all of her desolate ruins. And he will make her wilderness like Eden, and her desert like the garden of Hashem. Joy and gladness shall be found therein, thanksgiving and the sound of melodious song. That's what these 20 words correspond to. Beautiful. Now, Rabbi Avram Chaim Foyer cites a Rebbeinu Bachya that makes a very interesting connection between the number 15, which is this is the 15th blessing of the Shemoneh Esrei, and Malchus Beis David and the house of David, the Malchus, the royal house of David. And he does this with a very interesting insight into the whole concept of Jewish monarchy, a very interesting concept about it, and also an explanation to something that we do every month. When we say Kiddush Levana, which is the blessing over the new moon every month, so after making the actual blessing involved in this, there are a number of verses that we say. And one of those verses are, Dovid Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayam. David, king of Israel, lives on and endures. what does that got to do with Kiddush Levana? What does that got to do with what we're doing? So Rabbeinu Bachya explains. There is a pasuk, we had it in Parshas Bo a few weeks ago, where right before the Jewish people leave Egypt, Hashem says to Moshe, "HaChodesh hazeh lochem Rosh Chodashim, Rishonu l'Chodshei Hashana." This month will be for you the first of all months, referring to the month of Nisan. Rashi there tells us, citing a medrash, that when Hashem said the words "HaChodesh hazeh lochem," this new month will be for you, is that he wasn't just talking about the month, he was talking about the new moon. And Hashem was actually showing the new moon to Moshe, saying that the new moon is when the new month begins. And the Medrash there makes a very interesting relationship between the Malchus Yisrael, the monarchy of the Jewish people, and the moon. The moon typically comes out and lasts, so to speak. We see the moon for around 30 days in the month. It starts very small, gets large, then it gets smaller until it disappears. So a month is typically around that whole process of the new moon takes around 30 days to do. Rabbeinu Bachya points out that Jewish monarchy lasted for 30 generations. He says that the monarchy actually began with Avraham Avinu, our forefather Avraham. Avraham Avinu was a king of sorts. It's an interesting idea. When Dovid HaMelech came around, when King David came around, that was 14 generations after Avraham. 14 days into the month is when the moon is almost full. That was the point where the Jewish monarchy was almost at its zenith. Then came David's son, Shlomo, Solomon. He was the 15th generation after Avraham, corresponding to the 15th day of the month, which is the full moon, which is the monarchy of the Jewish people, the house of Dovid, at its greatest point. But after Shlomo, the Malchus, the monarchy of the Jewish people, began to wane until it completely disappeared with the destruction of the first Beis HaMikdash. The king at that time was a king Tzidkiyahu. That was 30 generations after Avram Avinu. That was the end of the month. That was the end of the cycle. We know that the Babylonian king who destroyed the first Beis HaMikdash, Nebuchadnezzar, blinded Tzidkiyahu. That's what he did to him. And that actually is symbolic of the, just like that this last king of the house of David was plunged into darkness, so to the Jewish monarchy as a whole was plunged into darkness. Now, based on this analogy, now we can understand what we say by Kiddush Levana. The new moon ascending, the new moon that's now coming out is symbolic of the Malchus Beis David, of the royal house of King David, again coming out of its darkness. And therefore we say, David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayim. David, king of Israel, lives and endures. We're saying just like the moon is coming out of darkness, we are praying that the house of David will also come out of darkness with the coming of Moshiach Tzidkenu B'Meir V'Yameinu, the coming of Mashiach speedily in our days. Thank you for listening. This has been a little bit of light. Have a wonderful Shabbos.